Dramily.com, unlimited drama series.
What happens when the truth you think will set you free is turned against you in a single, silent moment? I'm Sybil Devaney, and I thought I had everything under control. I was wrong. It started innocently enough at the grocery store on a Tuesday afternoon. I was grabbing milk and bread when I heard my name called from behind the cereal aisle. Sybil? Oh my God, is that really you? I turned to see Evan Mercer, my ex-boyfriend from college. He looked good, really good. His dark hair was perfectly styled, and those green eyes still had that mischievous sparkle I remembered from 15 years ago. Evan, I said, my heart doing a little flutter. What are you doing here? I moved back to town last month. Got a job at St. Mary's Hospital as a physical therapist. He smiled, that crooked grin that used to make me weak in the knees. You look incredible. Marriage agrees with you. I touched my wedding ring instinctively. Thanks. Grant and I have been married for 9 years now. We have a daughter, Jamie. She's 7. That's wonderful, Evan said, but his eyes lingered on my face. Listen, I know this might sound crazy, but would you like to grab coffee sometime? I'd love to catch up properly, get some closure on how we left things. Closure. That word stuck with me as I drove home to our suburban house on Maple Street. Grant was in the garage working on his motorcycle when I walked in with the groceries. How was the store? He asked without looking up from the engine. Fine, just ran into someone I knew from college. I kept my voice casual. Grant glanced up. At 38, my husband was still handsome in a rugged way. His job as a repo agent kept him in good shape, though lately he'd been working more with some private investigation firm, doing what he called intelligence gathering. I never really understood what that meant. Anyone interesting? He asked. Just Evan Mercer. Remember I told you about him? We dated in college. Grant's hands stilled on his wrench. The one you said was the one that got away? I never said that, I lied smoothly. He was just asking about catching up over coffee, closure. Closure, Grant repeated slowly. Sure, honey. Whatever you need. That night at dinner, 7-year-old Jamie chattered about her day at school while Grant remained unusually quiet. I found myself thinking about Evan's smile, the way he'd looked at me like I was still 21 and full of possibilities. The next morning, I texted Evan. Coffee sounds nice? How about Thursday at 2? His response came immediately. Perfect. Looking forward to it. I told Grant I was starting a new workout routine at the gym and would be going most afternoons. He just nodded and kissed my forehead before leaving for work. Be safe, he said like he always did. But something in his tone felt different. The coffee with Evan turned into 2 hours of reminiscing and laughing. He told me about his divorce 2 years ago, how his ex-wife had cheated on him with his best friend. I guess I learned the hard way that people aren't always who they seem, he said, his hand briefly touching mine across the table. But seeing you again, it feels like coming home. I pulled my hand away, but not immediately. Evan, I'm married. Happily married. Are you? He asked quietly. Because you seem lonely. That word hit harder than it should have. Grant had been distant lately, working long hours, coming home tired and distracted. When was the last time he'd really looked at me, really seen me? It's complicated, I admitted. It doesn't have to be, Evan said. We're just talking, Sybil. 2 old friends catching up. There's nothing wrong with that. When I got home, Grant was installing something in our bedroom ceiling. What's that? I asked. New smoke detector, he said, not looking at me. The old one was beeping. This one's got better sensors. I barely glanced at it. I was too busy thinking about my next meeting with Evan. Over the next few weeks, our coffee dates became regular occurrences. I told Grant I was really committed to my new fitness routine, going to the gym every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon. He seemed to accept this without question, though I noticed his mother, Ruth, had been stopping by more often. How's Sybil's new exercise program going? I overheard Ruth ask Grant one evening. She seems dedicated, Grant replied in a tone I couldn't quite read. The conversations with Evan grew more intimate. He told me I deserved better than a husband who took me for granted. I found myself complaining about Grant's long hours, his emotional distance, the way he seemed more interested in his work than in me. You're too beautiful, too vibrant to be ignored, Evan said during our fourth meeting. If you were mine, I'd never let you feel invisible. But I'm not yours, I said weakly. I can't be. Can't you? He asked. We have history, Sybil. We have a connection that transcends time. Don't you feel it? I did feel it. That was the problem. On a Thursday afternoon in late October, Grant told me he had to fly to Chicago for a repo job that might take him overnight. I'll be back tomorrow evening, he said, kissing me goodbye. My flight's at 8 p.m. After he left for the airport, I sat in our empty house, feeling restless. Jamie was at a playdate until dinner time. Ruth had gone to visit her sister for the day. I was completely alone. I texted Evan, Grant's out of town. Want to come over for coffee? We could finally talk without worrying about time. His response was immediate. On my way. As I waited for him to arrive, I walked through our house, seeing it with new eyes. The family photos on the mantle, Jamie's drawings on the refrigerator, the life Grant and I had built together over 9 years. Was I really about to risk all of this for closure with an old boyfriend? But when Evan knocked on the door and I saw him standing there with that smile, all my doubts evaporated. Finally, he said, stepping inside, a chance to really talk. We sat on the couch with coffee, but the conversation quickly turned personal. He told me how beautiful I was, how he'd never forgotten me, how seeing me again had made him realize what he'd lost all those years ago. This is just talking, I told myself as he moved closer to me on the couch. We're just getting closure. But when he kissed me, I didn't pull away. We should go upstairs, I whispered against his lips. As we headed toward the bedroom, I glanced at the clock on the cable box. 2:10 p.m. Grant's flight wasn't until 8. We had hours. I never noticed the small red light blinking on the new smoke detector as we entered the bedroom. The afternoon sun streamed through our bedroom windows as Evan and I fell onto the bed together. For the first time in months, I felt alive, desired, seen. This wasn't about destroying my marriage, I told myself. This was about reclaiming a part of myself that had been dormant for too long. Are you sure about this? Evan asked, his hands tangling in my hair. I'm sure, I whispered, though part of me wondered if I was lying. What I didn't know was that 3 miles away, Grant was sitting in a rental car, watching a live feed on his phone. The new smoke detector wasn't just a smoke detector. It was a motion-activated camera with Wi-Fi capability, something his intelligence work had taught him to install and monitor. He'd never actually gone to the airport. Instead, he'd changed his return flight from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. that morning, sending me a fake boarding pass photo via text. While I thought he was on a plane to Chicago, he was actually parked 3 blocks from our house, watching everything unfold in real time on his phone screen. The feed was crystal clear. He could see our bed, the nightstand, the alarm clock displaying 2:14 p.m. in bright red digits. He could see 2 figures moving together under sheets he'd bought for our 5th anniversary. He could see my face, flushed with passion I hadn't shown him in years. And he could see Evan's face perfectly, clear enough for a positive ID, clear enough for court. Grant's hands were steady as he saved the video feed to 3 separate cloud accounts. His training had taught him that documentation was everything. Evidence had to be preserved, authenticated, and unalterable. At 2:47 p.m., he started the rental car and drove slowly toward our house. Back in the bedroom, Evan and I lay tangled in the sheets, talking softly. I've missed this, he said, tracing patterns on my shoulder. Missed us. This is crazy, I said, but I was smiling. I can't believe we're actually doing this. It feels right, though, doesn't it? Evan sat up and reached for his wallet on the nightstand, pulling out a condom wrapper. Like, we're finally finishing something we started. Years ago. I glanced at the clock. 2:50 p.m. Still plenty of time before Grant's flight even landed in Chicago. That's when we heard the front door open. We both froze. The sound of footsteps in the hallway below was unmistakable. Did you lock the door? Evan whispered. I don't remember, I said, panic rising in my throat. The footsteps were on the stairs now. Slow, measured, deliberate. Maybe it's your daughter? Evan suggested desperately. She's at a play date until 5, I whispered back, scrambling for my clothes. The footsteps reached the top of the stairs and started down the hallway toward our bedroom. Evan was grabbing his pants, hopping on one foot as he tried to get dressed. I pulled the sheet up to my chin, my heart hammering so hard I thought it might explode. The bedroom door, which we'd left slightly ajar, swung open slowly. Grant stood in the doorway, still in his work clothes, holding his phone up and recording. His face was completely calm, almost serene. He didn't say a word for what felt like an eternity, just stood there filming as Evan froze with his pants half on, and I clutched the sheet like it could somehow protect me from this moment. Grant, I finally managed to say. I can explain. Don't. His voice was quiet but firm. Don't say anything yet. He kept filming. The phone captured everything. My mouth opening and closing as I searched for words that wouldn't come. Evan's face in perfect detail as he stood there in his underwear. The condom wrapper clearly visible on the nightstand next to Evan's wallet. The alarm clock showing 2:52 p.m., 47 seconds. That's how long Grant filmed before he finally lowered the phone. We were just talking, Evan said desperately. This isn't what it looks like. Grant's laugh was cold. You were just talking. Naked. In my bed. With a condom wrapper on my nightstand. Grant, please, I started. You, Grant said to Evan, have 90 seconds to get dressed and get out of my house, or I call the police for criminal trespass. Your wallet stays here. Evidence. Evidence for what? Evan demanded. Whatever my lawyer decides to do with it. Grant stepped aside from the doorway but kept his phone ready. 85 seconds now. Evan grabbed his shirt and shoes, not bothering to put them on. Sybil, I'm sorry, he said as he pushed past Grant. Don't apologize to her, Grant said calmly. Apologize to my daughter when she asks why Mommy's friend ran out of the house in his underwear. The front door slammed. Grant turned back to me. You have 20 minutes to pack essentials, he said in that same eerily calm voice. Then, the locks get changed? Grant, please, let me explain. It's not what you think, it's exactly what I think. I have 47 seconds of high-definition video that says it's exactly what I think. He pulled out his phone again. I'm calling the locksmith now, and my attorney. Anything you say from this point forward can and will be used against you in divorce proceedings. My hands were shaking as I got dressed. This couldn't be happening. This was supposed to be just closure, just one afternoon to feel alive again. It wasn't supposed to destroy everything. Where am I supposed to go? I asked as I threw clothes into a suitcase. That's not my problem anymore, Grant said. He was already on the phone with someone. Yes, I need an emergency lock change. Yes, I can prove I'm the homeowner. How soon can you be here? I tried calling my best friend Lila as I packed, but it went straight to voicemail. I tried again, still voicemail. 15 minutes, Grant said, hanging up with the locksmith. Grant, please, think about Jamie. Think about our family. This was a mistake, a moment of weakness. It doesn't have to end everything. You thought about Jamie when you brought him into our house? Grant's calm facade cracked slightly. Into our bedroom? You thought about our family when you were fucking your ex-boyfriend in the bed where our daughter sometimes sleeps when she has nightmares? I'd never heard Grant use that kind of language before. The raw pain in his voice made me realize how badly I'd miscalculated everything. I'm sorry, and I whispered. I know you are. You're sorry you got caught. My phone buzzed with a text from Lila. Saw Grant's Instagram story. Can't get involved. Sorry. What Instagram story? I demanded. Grant showed me his phone. He'd posted a blurred screenshot from the video with the caption, Trust your gut. Always. It had been up for 3 minutes before he deleted it, but Lila had seen it. Probably others too. You posted it? I was horrified. Posted and deleted. Just long enough for the right people to see it. He was typing on his phone now. And now I'm sending the full video to my attorney. I heard his phone whoosh as the message sent. A minute later, his phone buzzed with a reply. Received. Video uploaded to secure server. Proceeding with emergency filings. The locksmith arrived as I was dragging my suitcase down the stairs. Grant paid him in cash, and handed him a copy of the deed to prove ownership. "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to return any keys you have," the locksmith said apologetically. I handed over my house key, my hands shaking. This was really happening. As I stood on the curb with my suitcase, Grant came outside one more time. "The video is time-stamped, authenticated, and backed up in multiple locations," he said quietly. "It shows your face clearly. It shows his face clearly. It shows the date and time. It shows the condom wrapper and his wallet, which I'm keeping as evidence. My attorney says it's an airtight adultery case. Grant, you wanted closure with your ex-boyfriend. Congratulations. You got it." He went back inside, and I heard the new locks click into place. I sat on the
200 messages, deleted photos, a folder called Don't Open.
Watch more on Grammarly.com.
curb outside what used to be my home, scrolling through my phone contacts with shaking fingers. My sister lived in California. My parents were in Florida. The only local person I could think of was Lila, and she'd already made it clear she wasn't getting involved. But I had to try. "Lila, please pick up," I said when her voicemail started again. "I know you saw Grant's post, but I can explain everything. I need somewhere to stay tonight. Please call me back." I tried calling Evan, but his phone went straight to voicemail too. Probably for the best. He was likely dealing with his own panic right now. My phone rang. Finally. "Lila, thank God." "Sybil." Her voice was cold. "I can't help you. Please, I just need somewhere to stay while I figure this out. Grant's being completely unreasonable. He changed the locks. He's threatening divorce over one mistake." "One mistake?" Lila's voice rose. "Sybil, I saw the video screenshot. You brought another man into your marital home, into your bed. That's not a mistake, that's a choice. It was just closure. It didn't mean anything. Then why did you do it? Why risk everything for something that didn't mean anything?" I didn't have an answer for that. "I'm sorry, Sybil, but I can't get involved in this. I have my own reputation to think about, my own family." The line went dead. I ended up at a Motel 6 on the interstate, paying with the credit card I hoped Grant hadn't canceled yet. The room smelled like cigarettes and industrial cleaner, and the bedspread had stains I didn't want to identify. I called in sick to work the next morning, claiming food poisoning. Dr. Peterson's dental practice had been my workplace for 6 years, and I'd never taken an unscheduled sick day. My supervisor, Janet, sounded concerned. "Feel better, Sybil. Take the weekend if you need to." If only she knew I might need more than a weekend. I spent Friday trying to reach Grant, but all my calls went to voicemail. I drove by the house, but his truck wasn't in the driveway. I tried to use my garage door opener, but he'd already changed the codes. Saturday morning, I was getting dressed for another day of trying to figure out my life when someone knocked on my motel room door. "Sybil Devaney?" The man was middle-aged, wearing a cheap suit and holding a manila envelope. "Yes? You've been served." He handed me the envelope and walked away. My hands shook as I opened it. Divorce papers. Grant was citing adultery as grounds and requesting primary custody of Jamie, exclusive possession of the marital home, and an unequal division of assets due to my marital misconduct. Attached was a motion for emergency custody hearing, scheduled for the following Thursday. I needed a lawyer, but the 3 I called that day all wanted retainers I couldn't afford, especially if Grant had frozen our joint accounts. Monday morning, I had no choice but to go back to work. I'd been at the dental office for less than an hour when Janet called me into her office. "Sybil, we need to talk." My stomach dropped. "Is everything okay?" "That's what I was going to ask you. I had 3 patients this morning ask me about the process server who was here looking for you Friday afternoon." "Process server?" "He came by around 2, asking for you specifically. When I told him you were out sick, he said he'd catch you at home. The patients in the waiting room heard everything." I closed my eyes. Of course Grant had sent someone to my workplace. Of course he'd made sure it was as public as possible. "Is there something going on I should know about?" Janet asked. "Because this is affecting our office environment, and I need to know if it's going to continue." "It's just some personal legal matters," I said weakly. "It won't happen again." But even as I said it, I knew I was probably lying. The rest of the day was torture. I could feel my coworkers whispering behind my back. During lunch break, I overheard 2 of the dental assistants talking in the break room. "I heard it's a divorce," one was saying. Messy one, too, if they're serving papers at work. I always thought she and Grant seemed happy, the other replied. You never know what goes on behind closed doors. I wanted to defend myself, to explain that Grant was being vindictive and cruel. But how could I without admitting what I'd done? That afternoon, I finally got through to Evan. Sybil, thank God, he said when he answered. I've been going crazy. Are you okay? No, I'm not okay. Grant filed for divorce. He's asking for primary custody. He's trying to take everything. Shit, I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. It's not your fault, I said, though part of me wondered if that was true. We're both adults. We both made this choice. What can I do to help? I don't know. Maybe we should meet and figure out our story. If this goes to court, we need to be consistent about what happened. Our story. Explain that it was just a moment of weakness, that it didn't mean anything, that we're both sorry and it won't happen again. There was a long pause. Sybil, I don't think you understand how serious this is. I got a call from HR today. Someone filed a complaint about me having an inappropriate relationship with a married woman. They're opening an investigation. My blood ran cold. Who would file a complaint? I don't know, but they knew details. They knew about our meetings, about Thursday afternoon. Someone's been watching us. Grant. It had to be Grant. What did you tell them? Nothing yet. I'm meeting with HR tomorrow with my union rep. But Sybil, I can't lie to them. If they have evidence, if they have proof of what we did, lying will just make it worse. So you're going to tell them everything? I'm going to tell them the truth, that we're both consenting adults, that it was a mistake, and that it's over. After we hung up, I sat in my motel room staring at the divorce papers. Grant wasn't just ending our marriage. He was systematically destroying both my life and Evan's, and he was doing it all legally, methodically, without breaking a single law. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Grant's attorney. Please provide contact information for your legal representation for scheduling purposes. Emergency custody hearing remains scheduled for Thursday at 9 a.m. I didn't have legal representation. I couldn't afford legal representation. And in 3 days, I was going to have to face a judge and explain why I deserved to keep custody of my daughter after committing adultery in the family home. I tried calling Lila one more time. Please don't hang up, I said when she answered. I know you don't want to get involved, but I need character witnesses for the custody hearing. People who can testify that I'm a good mother. Sybil, Lila's voice was tired. I can't do that. Why not? You know I love Jamie. You know I'd never do anything to hurt her. But you did do something to hurt her. You brought a man into her home, into her parents' bed. What if she'd come home early? What if she'd seen something? She didn't, though. She was at a play date. That's not the point, Lila's voice cracked. The point is that you took that risk. You gambled with your daughter's emotional well-being for what? Closure? An afternoon of feeling desired? I didn't answer because I couldn't. I'm sorry, Sybil. I really am. But I can't testify that you put Jamie's interests first when you clearly didn't. The line went dead, and I was alone again. Tuesday morning brought another knock on my motel room door. This time, it was a woman in a business suit holding a tablet. Ms. Devaney, I'm Sarah Chen, forensic accountant. I've been hired by your husband's legal team to conduct a financial audit of your accounts. I have a court order. She showed me official-looking papers. I didn't understand half the legal language, but the gist was clear. They were going through every penny I'd spent in the last 6 months. What exactly are you looking for? I asked. Any expenditures related to your extramarital relationship? Hotel stays, restaurant bills, gifts, cash withdrawals that correspond to meeting times. My heart sank. The Venmo payments to Evan for coffee. There were 14 of them, all on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons when I was supposed to be at the gym. The hotel keycard in my purse from 2 weeks ago, when I'd told Grant I was having a spa day with Lila. Except Lila had been out of town that day, something that would be easy to verify. I'll need access to your phone, your credit cards, and any cash receipts you might have, Sarah continued. I don't have to give you my phone, I protested. Actually, you do. It's right here in the court order. Failure to comply will result in contempt charges. I handed over my phone with shaking hands. She connected it to some kind of device that immediately started copying everything. Texts, photos, location data, app usage. This will take about an hour, she said. I'll wait. While she worked, I tried to remember what was on my phone. The texts with Evan were bad enough, but there were also the photos I'd sent him last week. Nothing explicit, but definitely flirtatious. The location data would show that I'd never actually been to the gym on those Tuesday and Thursday afternoons. Interesting, Sarah said after a while. Your phone shows you were at 412 Elm Street last Thursday afternoon. That's not the address of your gym. 412 Elm Street was Evan's apartment. I can explain that. You don't need to explain anything to me, Sarah said. I just document what I find. Your husband's attorney will handle the explanations. After she left, I called the only lawyer who'd agreed to speak with me without a retainer, a recent graduate who worked at a legal aid clinic. Ms. Devaney, I have to be honest with you, he said over the phone. Based on what you've told me, your husband has built an extremely strong case. The video evidence alone would be damaging, but combined with the financial records and phone data, what are you saying? I'm saying that fighting this could be very expensive and ultimately unsuccessful. You might want to consider negotiating a settlement. What kind of settlement? Supervised visitation with your daughter, maybe every other weekend. Minimal spousal support given the adultery. He keeps the house and the majority of assets. That's not fair. I made one mistake. Ms. Devaney, in the eyes of the law, adultery isn't just a mistake. It's a violation of the marriage contract. And doing it in the marital home with a child in the picture, judges don't look favorably on that. That afternoon, I went back to work, hoping to maintain some sense of normalcy. But when I walked into the break room, all conversation stopped. Janet was waiting for me. Sybil, we need to talk. Again. In her office, she closed the door and sat down heavily. I had a very interesting conversation with Mrs. Patterson this morning, she began. Mrs. Patterson was one of our longtime patients, a retired teacher who'd been coming to the practice for 20 years. She told me she heard from her neighbor, who apparently knows your husband, that you're going through a divorce, a messy one involving adultery. I felt my face burn with shame. Now, normally I don't get involved in employees' personal lives, Janet continued, but when it starts affecting our practice's reputation, it becomes my business. Mrs. Patterson asked me if it was true that one of our hygienists had been carrying on with another man. Her words, not mine. Janet, I can explain. I don't want you to explain. I want you to understand that this practice has been built on trust and respectability. Our patients trust us with their health, and they expect us to maintain certain standards. She slid a piece of paper across the desk. What's this? A resignation letter. I've taken the liberty of drafting it for you. You can date it and sign it, or you can wait for me to terminate you for conduct unbecoming. Your choice. I stared at the letter. Janet, I've worked here for 6 years. I've never missed a day, never had a complaint, and now you have multiple complaints. Mrs. Patterson wasn't the only one who called. 3 other patients have expressed concern about the drama surrounding one of our staff members. I signed the letter. Walking out of the dental office with a box of my personal belongings, I felt like my life was completely unraveling. No job, no home, no friends willing to support me, and a custody hearing in 2 days that I was almost certainly going to lose. My phone rang as I loaded my box into my car. Unknown number. Ms. Devaney? This is Detective Morrison with the County Sheriff's Office. We need to schedule a time for you to come in and provide a statement. A statement about what? Your relationship with Evan Mercer. We've received a complaint alleging harassment and stalking. That's impossible. I never harassed or stalked anyone. The complaint alleges that you initiated unwanted contact with Mr. Mercer, pursued him despite his attempts to discourage you, and ultimately coerced him into a sexual relationship through emotional manipulation. I almost dropped the phone. That's not what happened at all. Well, that's why we need your statement. Can you come in tomorrow morning? After I hung up, I immediately called Evan. You filed a complaint against me? I demanded when he answered. What? No, Sybil, I would never. Then why are the police calling me about harassment and stalking charges? I don't know. I swear I didn't file anything, but... He paused. I did have to give a statement to HR today. They asked a lot of questions about how our relationship started, who initiated contact, whether I felt pressured. What did you tell them? The truth. That you approached me at the grocery store. That you suggested the coffee meetings. That you invited me to your house. You made it sound like I seduced you, didn't you? Evan's voice was quiet. Sybil, I care about you, but I can't lose my job over this. I can't have my professional license revoked. I told them what happened, and if that makes me look like the victim instead of the co-conspirator, then I'm sorry. The line went dead. I sat in my car in the empty parking lot, staring at my phone. Everyone was abandoning me. Grant was systematically destroying my life, my friends wouldn't support me, my lover was throwing me under the bus to save his own career, and I was about to lose custody of my daughter. For the first time since this nightmare began, I started to cry. Thursday morning arrived gray and drizzly, matching my mood perfectly. I'd spent the previous evening at the sheriff's office, giving a statement that felt more like an interrogation. Detective Morrison had asked pointed questions about my relationship with Evan, clearly trying to establish a pattern of predatory behavior.